of my pet peeves when people are pretending that they're listening, but you can tell that they're not really listening because they're on their phone. But there's a new mobile phone-free pub coming to Headington to enhance connecting and a good old-fashioned conversation without telling your followers where you are or posting about it. So let's speak to Mal Fletcher, who is a futurist and social commentator, who joins me now. Hello, Mal. How are you doing?
Hello, Fleur. I'm well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. A real pleasure to have you on to talk about this. First of all, I have to ask you, is putting our phones away boring, or is it the new normal? The way forward, I'd say.
Well, I think people would like it to be the new normal in many cases. I mean, you touched on something in the introduction. Over the past 10 years, psychologists have noted a marked increase of what they call absent presence. And we all know it, where you have a group of people sitting together, maybe in a restaurant, and only a few of them are really paying any attention. The rest are busy engaging in cyberspace. And one study showed that the people were engaging with people in the room with them at that time. So, you know, there's a number of studies that have shown, too, that our attention spans are getting shorter. We can't listen attentively as we once did because we're multi-screening a lot of the time on phones. And I think in restaurants and places like that, the social experience is a central part of it all. So, you know, asking people to forgo their phones in a restaurant might be pretty popular.
And I also have to mention, before the virus happened, my friends and I would put our phones in the middle. Say we're out for breakfast, we put all of our phones in the middle of the table, stacked one upon one. You've got all these generations of phones on top, but it's a really good way for us to all see who's on their phone. And we always do this bet that like whoever's on their phone first has to buy everyone a drink. Are you familiar with that kind of game?
I've heard of it. I haven't taken part in it, I have to say.
What are, though, the benefits of keeping your phone in your bag through the entirety of your social get-together? How does it actually help us as human beings?
Well, the only times when I think it can be helpful are when, for example, a parent needs to be contacted urgently about a child that's sick or something, or some other situation where there's an emergency. Those don't happen very often, of course, but in those times, smartphones are irreplaceable. And also, I think people sometimes consult the internet on their phones to check on food and food preparation before they actually order. So the staff have to know what they're talking about if you go to take away phones. And having a phone can be helpful for people like me when it comes to checking information about allergies. So the problem isn't really the phones, it's our reliance on them. And the technology is amoral. We have to make decisions about whether we use it in positive ways or not.
And I also think in this day and age, we're doing track and trace. So you have to have your phone on you. You can't really go to a restaurant and be like, I'm going to leave my phone at home just to be, respectful. You actually have to bring it now because you're going to need to do the whole track and trace on your phone with the new NHS app as well. So it's kind of like you've got to have your own boundaries and decide when it is important to put the phone away. But do you think texting 24/7, because I text friends a lot, it's a great way to stay connected to those who don't live near me. But do you think it's dented the way we make conversation in person? Because I do find that some people are a bit stumped as what to say because we've texted a lot and in person it's a bit harder.
Yeah, it does change the way we speak, and actually neuroscientists are discovering it's changed the way the brain works when we speak. You've touched on it there, that we don't see, for example, if I'm talking to you on a smartphone using Skype or Zoom or something like that, I'm not reading the biometric signals that you're sending. We're not even aware we're sending and receiving them, but the subtle facial muscles in our faces are giving off emotional signals, and we're not able to read those as well. So when we do come back into physical fellowship with each other again, sometimes we're missing some of that and our skills are not so good. One psychologist said that children under 5 in the UK now who display ADD-like symptoms are often not actually people with attention deficit disorder. They've just been exposed to screens too young and they haven't learned to read faces.
It reminds me of Black Mirror, the way that we're like, as you said, like sending and receiving messages and we don't know if one of us has got the message or not, but it's just like a thing that we're doing. It does kind of feel like something that is coming out of Black Mirror, but this is our life. What's your opinion, though, on texting a friend when you're outside their house? Because, Mal, I don't know about your generation, but my generation do this all the time. Instead of ringing the doorbell, I'll literally just text them saying, I'm outside. And, I never used the doorbell ever since, and I'm so guilty of it. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, of course, the next iteration of that is where you just wave to the camera and they see it on their phone inside. So, no, I don't have a problem with that. I think that's, I don't even know if that's generational. I think that's just probably common sense. If you've got the machine, you might as well use it.
Well, I actually really like your theory there. I thought you were going to say, your generation, you guys need to start, getting the courage and lose the anxiety for the doorbell. But I'm actually glad that you are kind of on our side here. Do you recommend turning off notifications on social media? I do this a lot. Also, I'm a big fan of the do not disturb button. I have that on pretty much through the whole day. Put my phone on airplane mode when I'm asleep. Like, I don't want anyone to bother me. But sometimes I just get these notifications about so-and-so going live and all of this.
Yeah, some of it's nonsense, isn't it? I'm the same as you. I turn things off whenever I can. So when I go to bed at night, obviously the phone, it's still on most of the time, but it's on silent and it just sits there. I don't like looking too often at social media during the day, although sometimes I break that habit. And there's also this issue of leaving our work behind us. Sometimes you mentioned restaurants before. Sometimes when we go out for dinner, we're taking our work with us and we can't turn off. And we call that time starvation. But we're not able to turn off because we feel too connected to our work through the internet, through our phones, and that leads to high levels of anxiety, restlessness, and even in some people guilt if we let it go on for too long. So we need to be very disciplined. It's not the technology again, it's how we use it.
And going back to the fact that this is the whole reason we're talking, Mal, is because there's a mobile phone free pub coming to Headington. Do you think pubs will benefit from this?
Yeah, I think they probably will, again, provided the staff really know their stuff so that people don't feel they need to go online to find out about the food and how it's prepared. There was actually a few years ago a debate on this about whether or not UK public spaces should block signals from smartphones. So not only take your smartphone away, but block the signal. There was an owner of a bar in East Sussex who built what we call a Faraday cage into his ceiling. Now, that's a device that deflects signals, and it's illegal in the UK to jam phone and internet signals from their source, but I understand it's perfectly legal to block them from entering your own home or establishment, which is what he did. And he said his whole motivation was to help people enjoy themselves more. I hope he succeeded. I don't know, but I hope he did.
Mal, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I will definitely keep putting my phone away whenever I go to a pub or a bar or something. Thank you so much.
Pleasure, Fleur.
Thank you so much. That was Mal Fletcher, futurist and social commentator.